Hi, my name is Alex Fergusson. Welcome to this presentation about the album redesign for the artist Air and their album Moon Safari. So the overarching genre is electronic music, which is really at the forefront of modern music making. Electronic music is a vast, ever-evolving genre of music. It can be purely electronic or mixed with classic instruments in a hybrid type of format. The genre lends itself to pop, rock, synthwave, dubstep, drum and bass, just to name a few. So the artist Air was formed in the mid-1990s, and their sound came out at a time when electronic music was dominated by heavy bass lines and really intense electronic DJ sets. Their alternative sound, however, incorporated a much more low-key, melodic and acoustic vibe. It could be described as otherworldly, vast, mellow and cosmic. So the album Moon Safari is a mellow delve into electronic music, combining acoustic guitars and keyboard with bass and digital sounds. The whole album has a wandering, expansive, exploratory vibe and sets the listener off on a journey. The echo on the keyboards, often sounding slightly organ-like, coupled with the repetitive high-pitched drum and deep bass line, gives it a very retro feel. Strings are used on the album in a soaring, floating quality, such as on the track Talisman. The tracks All I Need and You Make It Easy feature gentle melodies which work beautifully with the slightly jazzy lounge elements. The first track is probably as best known from Moon Safari and is a perfect example of their 70s feel, coupled with what can only be described as distorted laser beams of sound and light, giving the tracks a real sci-fi cosmic atmosphere. The robotic treatment given to their voices on some tracks adds to this. So the concepts and themes and ideas within the album include acoustics mixed with sort of electronic synth, robotic vocals, definitely a 70s retro kind of vibe, acid jazz elements. It's gentle. They don't really sort of reach out to political topics or anything too hard hitting. It's ethereal, it's engaging, it's warm, and it's expansive. So the first theme I wanted to explore for my experiments was the idea of 70s sort of psychedelic art. So some of the ideas I've come up with are sort of perspective or seeing or knowing, having normal activities within a space setting of stars and planets, incorporating the natural with the unnatural, really intense colors, and intertwining shapes, stars, circles, experimenting with the idea of space and time and having an altered state of mind, and exaggerated imagination. So this is the mood board uh, for the psychedelic idea, which is obviously very bright, very colourful, um, quite otherworldly and unnatural. The second idea I had was the idea of the 70s and their idea of space at the time, thinking of sort of an oasis in space or living within space, the idea of incorporating new with old technology, cosmic outer reaches, optimism and experimentation, something shapes that are bulbous and but fantastical, soft light and muted colours, orangey browns and reds, science fiction posters at the time, books and movie posters, and a vision of the future from a retrospective position. And this is the other mood board surrounding that idea of the 70s space. So for my first experiment, I came up with sort of some thumbnails, some drawings here, just experimenting with the psychedelic ideas, really bright colours, and a couple of the first experiments I really want to focus on is the idea of sort of the natural, such as using oranges or bubbles, and then really enhancing those colours in a psychedelic way. So these are some of the raw images for experimenting with the circular visuals of bubbles and oranges. My idea for the oranges will be to cut out and multiply the halves in different sizes across a blue sky, sort of like floating planets. I'd also then like to play with colour to give a more psychedelic vibe to the images. This is giving the connection of the natural, sort of grounded on Earth, mixed with otherworldly cosmic nature of the album. Similarly, I'd like to experiment with the bubbles as representing space-like objects on Earth. And I'd really like to take this further. I'd like to get some further images of bubbles actually floating within space. So this is my second set of raw sketches around the idea of 70s space. Experimenting with a bit more sort of abstract ideas, muted colours and tones, that sort of 70s swirl wallpaper in the oranges and the reds and the browns. Also idea of perhaps some collage type work with using people in space, with natural 70s furniture, giving the idea of the connection between Earth and space and intertwining the two. Coming on to type. Type is usually important within the context of an album cover. Obviously, you need to be able to identify the artist and the record name. Given that my overarching theme is cosmic 70s electronic lounge music, I'm interested to try out some bold, chunky 1970s fonts and tie it in with a simple sans serif. So reflecting so far, I'm happy with what I've managed to produce so far, and I'm really keen to start experimenting with both concepts to pay homage to the cosmic 70s lounge energy of Moon Safari. I feel that most importantly, the final album art can't be too bright and garish, as the vibe of the album is too gentle. It's electronic at its heart, but it also features natural acoustic tones. Thanks very much.